babies. Hey, babies, hey, babies. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Hello, YouTubies. Hi, everyone.
YouTubies.
As we speak, the Nationals' incredible ninth inning rally comes to a halt.
It wasn't incredible.
They were down 6-1 entering the bottom of the ninth. Juan Soto hit a 2-out, 3-run home run to give them some life. Nelson Cruz just popped out to center field. Game over. This was the originally scheduled second game of the series with Seattle.
Yeah.
They make up the game that was rained out last night at 6:05.
That's
tonight.
right. Yes, exactly.
Nats lose today, 6-4.
At least, this is usually the 12 o'clock game is the camp day. All the camps go and they, get the cheap upper level tickets. You get to see a Juan Soto home run. I think that's
if you stuck it out at 6-1,
which I think,
if you stuck it out,
right? But it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If you
True.
stuck it out, that's a nice. I don't
right,
care.
Where are you going?
I don't care what anyone said.
If you took the day off,
if
you took the day off, why would you leave early?
My girlfriend's sitting in the President's Club.
Oh,
right
that's
now,
right, huh?
so,
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Invitation or ticket?
Invitation. Yeah.
Oh.
She doesn't drink, so it's like.
Oh, so it's like not worth it?
It's a good seat, but
it's a good seat.
She enjoys the free food and the free ice cream.
I would imagine she does.
That,
I would imagine she does.
Yeah.
Where's the invitation from? A learner?
No, she had somebody that just had. A pair of tickets, and it's at 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. It's the list gets long of people they can't go to that game. So
yeah. Well, I saw the sights of what was going on there. I'd say it was easy get in
Correct,
today.
Exactly.
Okay, the game of chicken continues with Commanders owner Dan Snyder. Let's see. John Keim says because as of yesterday. The committee sent a note to his lawyer. It's the Battle of Letters. In the Battle of Letters.
Let's start from the beginning. They wanted him to show up originally, was out of the country with business things. They couldn't move. He said no. Then ultimately said yes after they said they were going to subpoena him.
Correct.
They
did issue a subpoena that has not been served.
That's right.
Because he's not in the country.
That's right.
Then has not come back.
He would come, but he wasn't going to do it under the subpoena because you can ask different questions.
Not in person. He said he would do it via Zoom.
Via Zoom, yes.
He would do a video, and then, it was explained, and the Washington Post talks about this today, once the subpoena was issued, that his next move was he has to say he'll do it willingly.
Yes.
And he'll do it willingly because it affords him the opportunity to not answer certain questions.
Right. Exactly.
The subpoena changes the dynamic of not only the questions that are asked, but the expectation of the types of answers that you would get. Basically, blocking this is an NDA and I can't talk about that.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Of which they're saying that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. You use this to try to shield yourself from wrongdoing.
Yeah.
And he's like, and? So it's not illegal, is it? So he's somewhere overseas. They're sending letters by carrier pigeon back and forth to one another. Yesterday's was his or a couple days ago was the lawyer saying, "Okay, we'll do it, via Zoom on these dates at the end of the month," which happens to butt up against the end of their session when they're going to go on a summer recess. Short of an emergency where Congress gets called back.
Yeah, of course.
And then short of an emergency before them calling back, everyone knows that once September rolls around, they are 2 months away from midterm elections, and these people are going to be less inclined to pay a lot of attention to this and more inclined to save their seats and make sure, in the case of the people that are running this committee, holding a majority in the House, which seems unlikely because this whole thing literally disappears if they do not maintain control, let alone keep their seats.
Right.
So then today's, not surprisingly, as I said yesterday, they have no choice but to agree to what he proposed, at least on its face.
Right.
Because you can't say, if you say no, we don't accept your invitation to speak to us, he's done.
That's right. Yes.
So they have to say yes, but they put the caveat back in it under a subpoena. So we want you to accept the service of a subpoena and do this, even if it's by video, under the service of a subpoena, right?
Right.
Which the headlines got completely wrong yesterday. They all wrote Congress accepts.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Not looking into at all the game that's being played here. And the game, got ramped up to 11 today, which was we're not going to do it under a subpoena.
That's right.
Under no uncertain terms, basically. Dan Snyder's attorney, they gave him till noon today to answer this, and he said the House Oversight Committee, they're not accepting a subpoena. They're not accepting a subpoena. Oh. I didn't know you could say that in America, but all right. Not accepting a subpoena.
You probably can when you're out of the country.
Says there is no reason for one to be issued. Still offered to testify voluntarily. The House Oversight Committee had wanted to hear from him by noon today, and they have. And then John clarifies this. His attorney said there's no need for a subpoena, that the House Oversight Committee has not yet served one. And a spokesperson for Snyder said the Oversight Committee is refusing to take yes for an answer. So they initially offered to have him come in, willingly.
Right.
He didn't say yes to that. So they said we're going to subpoena, or threatened to subpoena him. I think he was like, let's see if you really do that. They really did. He stayed wherever he is, offshore, can't serve the subpoena. Lawyers over there, too. That's quite a legal bill.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He's a billionaire. Who cares?
That legal bill is going to be amazing.
Yeah, right.
Nice, France. May 28th through August 7th.
Get to expense all those meals.
It's going to be amazing.
Best food in the world.
Yeah,
Get to expense it all.
Some French to go through that one for the accounting purposes. Anyway, here we are. Exactly where I thought we'd be. This is not going to happen.
Right.
So fetish artists who are hoping that, the walls will close in enough, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And he certainly, now that they've said subpoena, and now that their lawyer actually literally said, we're not accepting a subpoena, he's not coming back to the country because he will be served a subpoena if he does.
Right. Yep.
And so he'll wait this out until after training camp starts.
That's right.
And then I guess we'll see where we are. My gut tells me that they are now either going to have to label him, I don't know. What are they going to say now? Are they going to say he's what? They can go one of two ways here. They can change their tune and say, fine, we'll take the testimony.
Yeah.
And ramp it down, because the next thing for them to say is to characterize him as an evasive person who refuses to be served something by a legal entity in the United States. And that's quite a leap if you're going to do that. Basically call him an international criminal. So I don't think they're going to do that. Like, this is Catch Me If You Can at this point.
Well,
at some point, they did make Leo DiCaprio's forger an international criminal and was originally caught in France, right? Here, I don't know if are they doing that? Like, are they actually going to ramp it up to the next level and say, by admitting that you're refusing to accept a subpoena by a congressional oversight committee, you are fill in the blank, which is not going to be a nice characterization of who you are as a human being? Or are they going to ramp back down and go, fine, we've wanted you to testify, we will take your testimony? Because isn't that what you want?
Right.
So next step's going to be an interesting one.
I think it's going to be a mixture of what you just said. They're going to try to basically guilt him. Well,
that hasn't worked, and it isn't going to.
I know.
That's what I'm saying. So now, how do they characterize him?
They're going to try that one more time by characterizing him in whatever light they want to, which is going to be not something great. And then ultimately, they'll probably have to accept, because they could walk away with this with nothing from Dan Snyder. They're going to look even dumber than they were before. The only thing I will say, though, is now, if he's not going to do this under a subpoena, we're going to get the same dog and pony show that we got when Goodell was there, and we're going to get the Republicans going, sorry, Mr. Snyder, that you're here. How did you come up with the name Commanders? We're gonna get some dumb questioning because there's not some kind of motivation behind it.
Mr. Snyder, do you let Dave Portnoy cover your games?
That's right, exactly. Mr. Snyder, do you think Robert Griffin III is one of the 90 greatest players in your franchise's history?
Right.
Now, see, I would like that question to be asked.
Yeah.
But
and then the other side is grilling him and getting no answers.
That's right. Mr. Snyder, why wasn't Trent Williams put on the initial list of the 90 players?
Yeah. Did you agree with 91 or 92 as the number that should be on the crest?
Did you see the crest before it was launched?
Oh, man.
See, that's the
so
only thing.
here's where we are.
That's really, though, at the base of it, what I'm saddest the most about is that there's really no Washington fans that are any of the politicians in that room. We can get one question answered about that we could at least talk about, because it's all going to be a nothing burger at the end of the day.
It is. Well, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it.
Under that, yeah.
If they do, if he has to go through, now that he's offered to do it, without a subpoena involved, then if they do backtrack and say, fine, this is the date and time, see you there, he's going to have to say yes to that. And if he does, he'll say nothing of note whatsoever. His lawyers will advise him to not answer really any question that would confirm or deny anything that is allegations. And you're right, then the other half of the people who actually show up to do this are going to turn it into a circus and a dumb dog and pony show.
Right.
And all the quotes will be about things that have nothing to do with that.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Because he'll run out the clock on that by talking about the dumb things that they're asking about.
Yeah.
And in fact, you'll probably see some grandstanding Republicans use most of the time not even questioning him, but just say, look at the waste of congressional time that's occurring here by us talking to an NFL owner about something that's already been settled.
Yeah.
Right? By the league. Here we are again, sitting here and then they'll point out everything. Gas prices, inflation, all the things that Americans should be talking about. That's what's going to that's what's going to end up happening.
Yeah.
So there we are, Game of Chicken, Part 8. Let's see what the carrier pigeon sends back now from Washington to wherever the Lady S is. Where is the Lady S these days?
I don't know where the Lady S is.
There was some reporting he was going to be in Israel for a month.
Okay.
Of which somewhere I got some. Forget, I won't say it. All right.
I was going to say,
anyway,
you're going down a weird slope. Let's not go there.
I had to send a weird email to somebody explaining how I'm not going to get them in touch with him.
What?
If he's in Israel. Yeah, I had to do that. Someone reached out to me because they're like, did you read this? He's going to be here. I really need to talk to him about something. And I'm like, have fun with that. Anyway.
You have the inside track to him?
No, I don't.
Right.
And secondarily, not the time. Hey, I know you're busy with some other stuff, but would you talk to my friend you've never met, and about, I don't even know what?
That's always a weird one.
Yeah.
That's always a weird one.
It's interesting what people will ask for sometimes.
It's definitely interesting what people think that they think you'll put your neck out for sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I get people all the time, they're like, can I get tickets? And I'm like, sure. It's not hard, actually. You want them. I don't know. You
Depends
don't need
on what,
me.
but usually, we all know enough people.
But 8 million times you get the, hey, can you connect me with Ted Leonsis
no, I can't.
about this? And I'm like, no.
I could DM him for you.
Yeah.
I won't.
Yeah, I could, but I don't want him. I don't want him thinking that I wasted his time about your shoelace company.
Shoelace company.
So, sorry. Sorry?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How do I nicely tell you I'm not going to do that? And because why would I do that?
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of two things happens now. Congress either ramps down their, demand and just says, all right, we'll take the testimony, which isn't that what you wanted?
Right.
You asked him initially to come willingly. Mm-hmm. Now you've changed your mind about him coming willingly? Remember that part?
Right.
You did invite him voluntarily to show up originally. He didn't. That pissed you off. I understand why. You issued a subpoena. He hasn't been served the subpoena. He's come around to, you know what? Let's reverse this for a minute. How about I show up voluntarily now? How do you say no to that, Congress?
Right. No, exactly.
Isn't that what you offered to do? Oh, that's off the table now. I see. Right. Once again, this feels extremely selective. Who else from the NFL did you subpoena to show up and talk about any of these things?
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
Who else did you voluntarily ask to show up here besides Roger Goodell? Anybody from the Panthers? Anybody from the Raiders? Anybody from the Cowboys? Oh, no, none of them? Okay. All right. Oh, I thought you were doing a broad-scoped problem in the NFL investigation. Right. I guess you're not.
Dan Snyder's yacht hasn't moved, by the way.
Is it France?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the update.
I found
According to who? According to which bot on Twitter is he still
Dan
in France?
Snyder's yacht says it hasn't moved.
Why isn't it called the Lady S? At the Lady S.
That's probably a weird Twitter account.
Okay, Okay.
I would say thanks to at Dan Snyder's Yacht for following me back 5 seconds after I followed him. Or her. I don't know.
Who knew? All right,
also
so
says
that's
the
where we
Jets
are.
haven't moved from Dulles yet either.
Oh, okay.
So we have that.
Got it. So we got two possible scenarios. One in which they realize it's get them to do it voluntarily, not get the answers they want, or nothing, or call him something terrible publicly.
Yeah.
International criminal.
I think both's going to happen. I think they're going to.
Do you go that far?
I think they're going to bring it up to the line as much as they can without
I think they're in the line. That's where they are. Like, I actually think what his lawyer said back was, you offered to do this voluntarily. We're agreeing to do it voluntarily. What's the need for the subpoena?
Right. Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
And how are they wrong?
Right.
Well, they're not, because they're not wrong. Mm-hmm. But the congressional people can't say that now. They want their cake and eat it too on all this whole thing. And they clearly, selectively, have all along wanted an outcome here. And that is the removal of Dan Snyder as the owner of the team. Why? I don't know.
Right.
And I do think when all this is said and done, that's a heck of an assignment for an investigative reporter to find out why this committee so badly wants that outcome.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of people that are either listening to this or on Twitter or look at all this and go, I want that outcome too.
Sure.
Okay. But understand, this doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense if you really think about it.
Well,
if
especially because their findings were already released too.
They already released their findings.
Yeah.
They have already said which types of legislation they're going to pursue off of these findings. Why is this continuing?
Right.
And if it remains a broad-scoped thing, why isn't anyone from any other team invited to testify in front of them about their issues with their teams? So the only conclusion I could come to is this is personal for them to target this particular person, and I don't know why. Why they care this much about this. It is a big issue. It is an important issue. I'm not dismissing that. But if you can't see that both things are happening at the same time, then you're being blind to what's happening. So this is a hell of an assignment for an investigative reporter who'd like to kind of look into why do these people care so much about that specific outcome, and why does Congress need to get that specific outcome? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who'd he piss off over there?
Right. Good question.
Or, I don't know, who's being asked in certain ways to do this on the behalf of something?
Yeah, of course.
Huh?
No, of course. Duh. I mean.
Right? I mean, I think that's already kind of, that beans have already been spilled.
Yeah, of course. We just don't know who.
We do.
Well.
But what I'm saying is, to what degree
right.
were these people being asked to pursue this?
Right.
And no one's going to answer that question.
No, of course not.
Right? Because no one should answer that question.
That's how it works down there.
Otherwise, you think you saw some terse letters so far. Wait till you see the other ones that pop up.
Right.
When you find out motivations for all of this, for these outcomes that you're looking for. I still do believe, I will say this, because we're not at the end, obviously, because Congress must respond to this latest, I'm not going to do this part. So we're not at the end yet. It is still my belief that the NFL will suspend him. I don't know for how long, but I do believe that will happen. And they will probably use in light of the new information that came out in allegations, in light of all of the bad headlines that continue to surround the team, not unlike how they utilized that to suspend Ben Roethlisberger and others, and Ezekiel Elliott, where, those were one situation with one accuser, and in neither case were either player actually found guilty of doing anything.
Right.
But because of all the bad negativity that came along with the stuff, they basically invoked you didn't protect the shield law. And I think that that's what's going to happen here too. So that's my gut on what the outcome ultimately is going to be. How long? What does that encompass? What happens if he breaks the suspension? What are the rules around it, considering they're trying to get a stadium? Like, how could he not be involved in a discussion with Virginia, Maryland, or D.C., or potential naming rights partners? Like, come on. Like, he can't be completely, removed from that process. But, does he get on the headset and call plays, to Scott Turner? Maybe we could put an end to that, for a year or less. But that's what I think is going to happen. I still firmly believe that that's what the end result is going to be. There's going to be some kind of suspension, but we'll see.
Right.
I mean, he certainly is. This is a new one.
I would say this too, and this could be me putting my tinfoil hat on here. The Deshaun Watson suspension hasn't come out yet either.
Right.
And I'm almost waiting for them to release them both at the same time, just to let every discourse hit both or one or the other, or
I mean, I expect
whatever.
both of these things to occur before training camp starts.
You would think.
Yeah.
Because what's holding up the Deshaun Watson
Well, they're not going to
thing?
say, I mean, I think they probably want Congress to let this go before they do anything with Dan Snyder.
That's right. No,
I've been thinking
rightfully so, though.
I've been thinking all along that, like, behind the scenes, maybe the NFL's talking to Congress saying, you know what, we'll do something here. Not what you want, but we'll do something because we can't.
Right.
And, we'll do something here, but you got to drop this. Like, You'll get your pound of flesh here. We're going to do something. We're going to publicly admonish him. We're going to, put a suspension on it. But if your only outcome is to get him removed, well, you kind of can't make that happen.
Right.
And frankly, we can't. Me, Roger Goodell, can't make that happen. I made that clear to you. So why don't we come to a happy medium? We publicly admonish him, suspend him for a period of time. You drop this. You get to say you got to win, like all that stuff. We can't make him sell. And then with the Watson, I mean, that's what I thought would be happening ever since Goodell actually spoke.
Right.
But apparently it hasn't because they're going back and forth here. And Watson, I'm with you. I'm sure they'd love to try to time those things up. One, in the showing of fairness, hey, we suspended this guy.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, we suspended that guy. Stop telling us that there's two sets of rules for the owners and the players and all that stuff.
Right.
And the Watson stuff, too, is still... I heard there were like briefs that had to come after the hearing, so the judge is still, or the former judge is still looking at all of that.
Got it.
But again, I mean, 2 weeks to the start of training camp, a decision's coming soon.
Right. You think.
I'm sure the Browns are knocking on the door every day. How long is our guy not going to be here?
That's right. Yes, exactly.
All right, let me take a quick break. Bram, what's the show? ESPN 630 Sports Capital.
The Bram Weinstein Show on the new ESPN 630.
How did this start, by the way? Why did this become the seventh inning? Do you know the answer to that?
No,
Why did this become a seventh inning stretch song with the Orioles?
I don't, but it's a great tradition.
It's a great tradition. Hope they never get rid of it. It's perfect.
No. The Ozbird with a giant orange violin. No,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. It's the best.
Yeah. How did I wonder? I'll have to ask. Maybe I'll look it up. I'm sure there's
Someone tweet us. I'm sure someone knows.
There's got to
answer.
be articles of why this started, how this started, why it's lasted. And now it's one of those things, if they didn't do it, people would be like, excuse me?
That's right.
It'd be like an outcry. They'd be
Yeah.
like, they didn't do Thank God I'm a Country Boy tonight at the Orioles game. What's going on? And it would just be a parade of nonsense.
I always think it's funny to point out somehow John Denver has a hold on DMV sports. He has the seventh inning stretch for the Orioles. Then you have TJ Oshie, who has Country Roads Take Me Home as his goal song.
Yeah.
Which is about Montgomery County, by the way. A lot of people don't realize that. He got the inspiration from driving some of the back roads in Montgomery County, not in West Virginia. So somehow John Denver all connected in this area.
This is a piece from 2020, how John Denver became an Orioles staple. I'll get to what's going on with them in a minute, which is why I want to talk to them. Right. They're the hottest team in baseball, and they're actually in a playoff conversation. And I saw somebody tweet last night, the Orioles are 44-44.
Yes.
Last year, they were 44-93.
That's right. Yes, they've already matched their win total.
It's
Yes.
unbelievable,
It
right?
really is.
Unbelievable, really, the run that they're on. Let's see. Joe Trezza for MLB.com wrote a piece, which he said, Baltimore isn't exactly a country town, at least not on paper. So why are Orioles fans so proud to be country? For decades, that question is followed by the wayside nightly as those fans lead into tradition and belt out the lyrics to John Denver's 1975 hit, Thank God I'm a Country Boy, during the seventh inning stretch at Orioles home games. It's a tradition like few other in baseball. It's existed for so long, it's past the point of needing to make some more sense now. Let's see. The answer is tradition. It's a catchy song that just caught on. That's all it is. According to legend, longtime O's shortstop Mark Belanger was the first to suggest Country Boy to general manager Frank Cashin, who by the summer of 1975 was looking to infuse more contemporary music into the fan experience at Memorial Stadium.
All right.
Thank God I'm a Country Boy that year was a #1 hit, reaching the top spot on both the Billboard Hot 100 and the Billboard Hot Country chart that summer. The song was beta tested, and it did better than any other that the Orioles had tried out that season. So they were running all sorts of different music that year. It did end in a disappointing second-half finish after consecutive AL East titles. By 76, Thank God I'm a Country Boy had done what catchy songs do. It nested in the ears of the people who listened to it all the time, and it took root. And one night, as a way to kill time on the bench, 3 Orioles, Doug DeCinces, Tim Nordbrook, and Tony Muser, formed a pantomime band and put on a pretend performance during the 7th inning stretch of Thank God I'm a Country Boy. They turned baseball equipment into air guitars, fiddles, and microphones, to the delight of the scoreboard cameras.
There you go.
Soon, the 3 were performing most nights, until one night when the Orioles were trailing in a tense 1-run game, they stopped doing that. It was time to not fool around anymore. And Earl Weaver chastised the trio for not playing it because he was superstitious.
Oh, I would have thought Earl would have reamed him out for doing it.
No.
Oh, I like that, actually.
Recalling the story to author Dan Connolly for a 2015 book, 100 Things Orioles Fans Should Know Before They Die, DeCinces remembers Earl Weaver barking at them, "What the hell are you doing? Get your you-know-what ready."
I love that, actually.
Yeah, he said...
You think he's yelling at him for doing it, not doing it.
He said Weaver was so superstitious, and we'd been doing it for a while, so all of a sudden he wanted it. And from that point on, we had to do it for the rest of the year. The Country Boy craze peaked at the '83 World Series when Denver attended and performed the national anthem before Game 1 of the Fall Classic against the Phillies. During the 7th inning stretch, Denver sang Thank God I'm a Country Boy from the top of the dugout.
There you go.
Those 1 and 5. Returning to Baltimore for a benefit concert in 1997, Denver made a surprise appearance at Camden Yards 3 weeks before his death. Wow.
Yeah.
In interviews over the years, he always cherished his connection to the city. Yeah, no kidding. The Orioles have tried to implement new 7th inning stretch music over the years. Oh, Orioles Magic in 1980.
Of course. Yeah.
Which is a fantastic team-produced song. Rick Dempsey's old-time rock and roll cover from 1987.
All right.
Rick Dempsey used to run out during rain delays and jump on the tarp and slide on it.
Got it. All right. Okay.
None caught on, though, like Thank God I'm a Country Boy, though the song was taken out of circulation from 88 to 93 by the owner Eli Jacobs. It returned when Peter Angelos bought the team and remains to this day. So there you go, Angelos haters. He did do one thing
for you.
Very right for you.
Yes.
Okay, there's that. Long answer to why do we play that.
One thing I will say, I think they would benefit from rotating the song just a bit, maybe having 1 or 2 songs in the rotation, so then you get Thank God I'm a Country Boy on Friday or Saturday nights or something along those lines. That's all. I'm just saying, sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder. Like,
I agree.
I think people would appreciate it a little more. So I don't just saying, you don't have to do it, but
meantime, whatever is happening, the mojo's working for them. It's 9 in a row now.
Yep.
It is their best, longest win streak in 23 years.
Yep,
something
since
like that.
1999.
Okay. I feel really good for Brandon Hyde, who's got hired to replace Buck Showalter, has been there since, had a team that was literally completely non-competitive. It even in moments, he reminds me a little bit of who was the guy with the Sixers during the process stuff, Brett Brown.
Yeah.
Who just had no chance, but was so committed to it anyway.
Sure, of course.
And it feels like this guy's been that way, so much so that even last year he was like caught on hot mics yelling at one of the pitchers, Robbie Ray, screaming at him like for going too slow. So he's always been engaged and all this stuff. And now all of a sudden it's kind of turning, so I feel good for him. But here's what he said about it, because he was on the coaching staff. He likened it to the 2014 Cubs, which was right before they turned.
Yeah, because they won in 2016?
I think it was 16.
16 or 17?
Yeah,
16.
but he said, that's what he said. He said, he said this. He goes, in 2014, we got a lot more interesting in the second half of the season. He said, Hyde of a team that had completed a 3-year sell-off of its veterans by July 2014 and then started to turn a competitive corner as they headed into 2015. Jorge Soler, Javi Baez, Kyle Hendricks.
They signed Jake Arrieta, too, off that. Yep.
He said Anthony Rizzo, as he put it, started to become a dude at the time, is what he said about it. He said, we were more enjoyable to watch in the second half. Fans were able to gravitate towards some of the younger players that were starting to become positive core players. And you thought at the time, in a couple of years, these guys are going to be really, really good. So he says he's looking at the Orioles right now, not through the total rose cut, like, don't get too crazy here. We're just a 500 team, and everyone thinks that's a little ahead of schedule. But we do see it now. So I even told you, like, you told me early on this, and then I went to that Nationals-Orioles game, and the Nats shut them out and beat them. But I was watching them, and I was just looking down at you know it when you see it.
Yes, correct.
They have what is obvious now. It's been painful because they got rid of everybody that made any kind of money. Their payroll is laughably terrible.
They got rid of it all started with getting rid of Manny Machado too. Yeah. And you and I had an argument of
if you're not going to pay him, who are you going to pay? And
Correct.
It's not like you've got this isn't the Nationals where you got 4 guys making $30 million a year. You've got nobody making that.
Exactly.
So how do you, if you're not going to pay him, who are you going to pay?
Exactly. It was very much a like you signed those guys. There's no reason to get rid of them. And so that's where it started. And you're right. It has been painful since then, but it's starting to rear its head right now.
Yeah.
They're really set up to
It
be
looks
successful.
that way. It does. And so I'm happy for Brandon Hyde because he's basically like, I've seen this before, and he did it. I think anybody who says it from the Cubs perspective, I think it matters to hear it because while I think nobody now looks at them as the all-time loser that everybody looked at them like as of 10, 15 years ago, I know it's a big market, but they never played like one. Right. They never paid their teams like one. They basically leaned in on tradition and a nice ballpark in a good part of town to have a great fan base, but they never won anything and rarely even came close to winning anything. So when I hear someone like from that group say, we saw it coming and it finally happened, I buy into it more than someone on some Yankees staff who was like, this was the year we thought we were going to turn. Yeah, okay, buddy.
Right.
Yeah. Any year it could turn for you.
Right.
The second you guys shell out some cash for something, you do that. The Cubs don't do that traditionally. The Orioles don't do that traditionally. So maybe they are really onto something, and this is, while, this can't continue the way it's going right now, it might be the first real sign of it's going to get good the next couple of years. How good, I don't know, because they're in a tough division, but it's getting good.
Well, here's the thing that if you're an Orioles fan and you're only just now popping back on the bandwagon or whatever, their best pitching prospects aren't even up yet. Grayson Rodriguez got hurt this year, might even need Tommy John, which is tough, but he's still their best pitching prospect, was due to come up at some point this year. That might not happen until September, best case. They have another pitcher that's even higher. I don't think he's higher ranked than Rodriguez. That is just below him in all the rankings, though. Their best arms aren't here yet, is what I'm getting at with their lineup that they've got. Now there's questions, though, about the Orioles that we haven't had, for the past couple years. What do they do at the deadline? Like Trey Mancini might not get you a return. Do you just ride it out with that guy as a feel-good story in Baltimore? People are asking those types of questions, though, to say, hey, there's no real reason to trade that guy. He's beloved. You might as well just let the string ride out there and see if you can make some noise down the stretch here, because you're going to play all of your division rivals who are all in wild card spots right now. So that's the first question. The other one is another one that Buster Olney put out on Twitter yesterday, and he was going, you know what? This reminded him of the Astros tear down and rebuild when they popped over from the NL to the AL, when they started getting the Altuves, the Springers, all those guys of the world. He said the key part about the Astros, they started to spend when this point hit for them, when they started to play 500 ball. Do the Orioles start spending this offseason to try to surround their young talent with some veterans, maybe a pitcher, maybe an ace infield or something like that?
Yes.
I think you have to, and if they don't, we've got some really serious questions moving forward if they don't start pulling the trigger on some of these other guys.
Yeah, they their trust the process is working.
Yes, correct.
I didn't think it was. You know what? We should have probably known this. It was funny. You even said this early in the season.
I said the first game. I said opening day. I looked at their roster and how they were playing.
The first month, they had a brutal schedule.
Yes.
They played the Yankees like 8 times. They played the Red Sox a bunch. They played the Rays a bunch.
They played them all tough.
All of them.
Yep.
All
I
of them.
told you
They were just hanging in there, hanging in there.
They were so fun to watch because they were putting the other team, all the pressure on them. It was the best.
They were just hanging in there, and we should have just known, and now it's totally turned. And they're 2 games out of the wild card right now.
Right.
In probably toughest division in baseball.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
All of the teams.
Blue Jays just fired their manager because they expected to be winning the division, and there ain't nothing they can do about a team that's 40 games over 500.
Sure.
So what are you going to do about that, right? But they're not currently even in the wild card with all of that young talent that they have.
Right.
They fired their manager today.
Exactly.
If they spiral, if the Rays, who aren't playing as well lately as they usually do, it took the Red Sox a massive turnaround to even get their record up to this way.
Yep.
I don't see it yet. I think, like, I'm with Brandon Hyde here, where he's like, give us a couple more years. It's turning, but this is very promising for them. And in the reality is, in that division, once you feel like you do have the core, if you don't go buy a few players,
you're done.
You don't have a real shot.
You're wasting your time.
Well, you don't have a real shot, but they're waiting to spend. Will it be with this ownership or with the next ownership? I don't know. Right? Will this ownership, even if they're more than competitive like they are now, go, okay, green light, a big deal for a pitcher or another hitter or something like that? We don't know. Not until they get there. But I want to, I think we need to praise the front office and the manager for, I didn't see this coming. And clearly, if you just kind of watch, the sports shows, none of them saw it coming.
No, of course not.
And it's been an incredible first half of the season for them, way ahead of schedule. And they're a little lucky that Cleveland, Chicago, the Angels, for some reason, those 3 teams aren't good, and therefore they're ahead of them. Everyone else that they're chasing for the wild card's in their own division, which means they're going to play them a million times.
That's what I'm getting at here. Is they are going to make their own noise because they're going to play against the people that are all in front of them right now. And like I said,
these young plucky teams like this, though, I think we know what the score is. When it's a long season, and when it gets around to August and things ramp up, and you got to play the Red Sox and the Rays now have actually been, have a veteran group because that group's been together for a while. Things change, and this is where I wouldn't expect the Orioles to maintain this momentum, but it is the building block of what's next.
What I would just say though is those games in September when they play all those other teams, because all those other teams are going to be playing for seeding and trying to make the wild card, those are the times where you pay attention to what the Orioles are going to do. Because the Orioles are going to go, oh, that's right, you guys are going to be in the wild card. No, not if we have anything to say about it. So that's what I always look at it as, too. The AL East always kills each other down the stretch because they're all competitive.
Yes.
I'm waiting to see what they do those last 3 weeks of the season.
Right.
Even if
somebody flails,
even if they're
they
out
need
of
a couple of them to flail.
No, but even if they're out of it, I want to see how they go up against some of those teams that are playing for the seeding, because I think they're going to bring that noise and keep it going.
I mean, they're fun. They are fun. It is their pitching. It's their hitting is. They're a 500 team, but they're below in run differential.
Yeah,
so
of course.
The offense isn't quite there yet.
You look at that lineup. There are holes in the lineup.
Yeah. They're far from a complete thing. But what you can see is there are 3 or 4 young guys in that lineup that are mainstays, and in a couple of cases, going to be really, really good play. Like, you can just see it. Yep. That catcher is an all-star.
Yeah, Rushman's a beast. Yeah.
He's a monster. You could just see he's a monster.
Rushman is.
I think that guy Montcastle's a keeper.
Yeah,
I think Mullins clearly is a keeper, and Hayes might be. And the rest of it, we'll see.
Yep.
But you got 4 or 5 guys, especially a couple of crushing killers in that lineup. It all starts to come together. And, they don't have any excuse. If they stay going on this kind of pace, they have no excuse not to spend.
Agreed.
They've got to go get a couple of people in here that can help them.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Rushman reminds me of what Matt Wieters always should have been already.
Yeah.
I saw it with Wieters early on. He was good, but never quite hit that next level. I'm already seeing it with Rushman. That dude is just a stud.
He's a stud.
Yeah, he's going to be the NL starting catcher either next year or the following year.
The way he swings the bat, he looks like Piazza to me. That's what he looks. That's what he looks like to me.
I like that comp.
Like, he looks like he has the look and feel. His swing is so smooth that he looks like he's going to be. I don't know how he will be defensively, but I really think offensively he's going to be. It looks like he's going to be a dominant hitter.
They've actually already praised him, and I full disclosure, I watch just as much Nats as I do Orioles. But
it's a rough year for the Nationals.
Usually out by the 3rd inning for the Nats, so I flip over to Masson too. But the number one praise with Rushman already is that he knows how to calm his pitchers down, and like to have a guy that young already kind of know how to handle veteran pitchers, that's it's just another addition to what they're getting out of that guy. So no, it's
all right.
It's pretty fun.
And as I always like to say, go O's!
Worth noting,
Go O's!
The team ahead of them is the Mariners, who just won their 9th straight, beating the Nationals today.
9th straight, look at that.
So you actually need the Nats to help out the Orioles a little bit if they can take care of them.
It's early.
Sure, but it's
Very
still fun.
early.
It's still fun.
Fun.
You'd like
I
to have
agree.
them take them out and have the Orioles pop into a wild card for a breath of the season.
Go O's, Han. All right. For all of you who thought the Capitals would not have a goaltender this fall, it took a day to fix that problem. We'll talk about it next. Very much the show ESPN 630 Sports Capital. All right, so my gut yesterday after the Capitals decided not to extend a qualifying offer to Ilya Samsonov, which meant he was going to leave, and he did today. Actually signed with Toronto on a 1-year deal.
Yep.
And then they traded Vitek Vanacek, and they don't have any goaltenders. Was that, well, clearly they'll get one or two.
Yeah.
And they did get two today. But that my gut was something felt like a trade to me.
Sure.
But unless they had Darcy Kuemper in the bag, because he was the only, and they did.
Yeah. That was my feeling the whole time.
They're giving him a 5-year lucrative contract off of being on the team that just won the Stanley Cup. And he had, well, that team had its best season, but he did too. Let's see. Goals against 2.54. Save percentage 921. That's elite. If you're over 920, it's an elite.
Yep.
He had now granted, like, I always take this stuff with a grain of salt when you're on a dominant team, because often he's playing with a lead, and it's a very different situation. The Capitals had this for a long time, where their goaltenders might have been a little better. Holtby might have been a little bit of a recipient of this. You know how much I love Holtby, but when he's playing on a team that is the highest scoring team in the league, it's very helpful in that case. And in the case of him, and unlike with Holtby, Colorado actually has elite defensemen on their team.
They have the best defenseman in the league, in Cale Makar.
So I don't want to poo-poo this at all. They got what I've wanted them to get for 2 years, which is a veteran in here that knows what they're doing.
That's right.
And not rely. They've got this gang of old guys that are out there that could still ramp it up when they need to, but they're not good enough to blow people's doors off anymore. Their defense is not elite in front of the goaltender. Therefore, the goaltender can't be a wild card every night, which is what it's been for a couple of years. And in some cases, a really bad wild card, where Samsonov, you finally come around to, all right, I see it. And then he does some ghastly thing, and you're like, I can't trust this.
Yeah.
I can't trust this guy.
Right.
And then you turn to the guy who's clearly a backup, and everyone likes him because you shouldn't expect him to become Dominik Hasek. So they did the right thing today, albeit a year to 2 years late, in my opinion. They did the right thing today. That said, I don't know enough about this guy, okay? All I know is he was just on the Stanley Cup winning team. No one says he's Patrick Waugh. So, what do you got?
So, here's my biggest reservation with Kuemper is that he's older.
He's 32.
He's about to turn 33. I think
that's a long contract for somebody his age.
6 years.
Which is why he took it and why they had him in the bag. Nobody was offering him the length of that, probably.
This is the classic Brian McClellan, what he did with kind of Brooks Orpik and Matt Niskanen was, we need to get the proper player in here right now, and it might be at our detriment later on. And so that's what he's doing with Kuemper here. An older goaltender, but as you said, they know what they're getting every night with this guy.
Yeah.
Caps PR actually sent out a tweet of him, a tweet with some stats on him. He ranks first in NHL in save percentage and GAA, and second in GAA since 2017-18. So it does mean now for about 4 years, his trajectory has been one of the best goaltenders in the NHL.
Yeah.
What I actually like, too, is not only did he win the Stanley Cup with Colorado this year, last year, when all the teams get eliminated, all the players go play in the World Championships. It doesn't get a lot of play because the NHL playoffs are still happening. He won a gold medal with Canada last year. So I think there's a little bit of winning pedigree with this guy, that pressure clearly doesn't get to him too much. I'm perfectly fine with this. The dance of the Samsonov Vitek back and forth for the last 2 years has been maddening. And finally, they're just going to get a presence back there.
I mean, it was so maddening that, for 2 years, we're all screaming, you have to get a goaltender. And it was as if they were just pretending they didn't.
Well,
it was ridiculous.
There wasn't a lot available last year. And,
okay,
and I will
but
say,
they had to get somebody, and they didn't do it.
The biggest mistake they made last year was trading back for Vitek Vanacek. Trading back for him.
It made no sense.
Made no sense. You gave up 2 second-round picks, and then you ended up moving him with a second-rounder to get a second-rounder and a third back. Asset management has been a problem for Brian McClellan here a little bit with his goaltenders. But that being said, they cut bait. They went in a brand-new direction. The number on the cap, by the way, looks like this. He's going to get $6 million the first 3 years. Then it goes down to 4.5, then 3.75. So basically, what's going to happen here is
everything's guaranteed in hockey too, right?
Correct.
You're stuck with everything.
Correct.
Right?
But basically, what's going to happen here is he's going to play his first 3 years here, and then
probably become a
if
backup.
that becomes movable,
maybe. That's true.
Or if he becomes movable. That's probably what's going to happen. But for 3 years, he's going to be it. Pierre LeBrun also added on. Kuemper has a no-trade clause to 15 teams that he cannot be traded to for the first 2 years, and then 10 teams he can't for the final 3. So essentially, the door starts to open up after year 2 if they want to move on from him. I don't see it happening, though. To me, the timing here is right. This guy's been one of the best for 4 or 5 years. Let's, hopefully you ride that wave, and we don't get the dip down until maybe year 3 is the hope, what I'm getting at here.
I do want to, there is a couple of metrics when looking at him when they signed him today that are worrisome to me. Mm-hmm. One, he has started more than 50 games in a season twice.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not a lot.
Yeah.
He's 32, which means he's primarily been a backup.
Sure.
For the majority of his career. Colorado did not go out of their way to keep him.
Right.
Granted, it sounds like we had with Holtby, where they're like, he's good, he ain't that good, we're not going to overpay for him, even if we like the guy.
Colorado had a bunch of free agents that they had to sign today, too. So they knew that they were going to have to dole out some contracts.
I mean, he was in Arizona for 5 years. He was basically a primary starter once.
Right.
And then wasn't. He was splitting time the 2 years after that. If you're a person who's into quality saves, that number's not great.
Right.
So, again, I think he's an answer for them. He's a veteran. I feel better about him in net than I do with the last couple of years where I'm like, I can't even believe they're letting this happen, where you're letting a wild card back there going, like you're just winging a prayer that one of them's going to come around.
Yeah.
That's all they did, which I thought was ridiculous. But this guy also has no pedigree that looks like an elite player.
Right.
So, hopefully he's steadier than what they've been, more reliable than what they've had, but he doesn't read to me as someone who's going to be stealing games for you. I hope he does.
Right.
But if that's what you're looking for here, where there's a few nights, especially in the playoffs, where the goaltender needs to be the star.
Sure.
He doesn't read that way to me. But you never know. I hope he does.
I would say this, though. There's a different kind of confidence you play with when you play with a team like the Avalanche as opposed to the Coyotes.
I agree.
So once you get some of those goals in, you can kind of lock in and play a little bit looser yourself. And that's always kind of been the case with the Caps, except for the past couple years. They used to parade all of their young guys through, and they all look successful at one point or another, like Semyon Varlamov, Michael Neuvirth, Braden Holtby when he was the third starter out of those 3 guys. They've made guys look good. The defense needs to lock things down more importantly than anything else. And all they need this dude to do is stop the pucks that are supposed to be stopped, because we saw it so many times last year where Samsonov or Vanacek would just implode for no reason whatsoever. That's the one read on this guy that I don't get, is that he's just going to suck for no apparent reason on a night-to-night basis.
Yeah. I think we got a steady person here.
Yes.
We got a pro,
bare minimum.
Steady person, above average. He's not Vanacek, he's above that.
Yep.
Right? But he does not read to me like Lundqvist.
No, of course not. No,
he doesn't.
I would agree with
we
you on
don't
that.
have one of the top 5 goaltenders.
Yeah.
We have a steady goaltender,
right?
And it's going to be, so I think hopefully we'll have less question marks about what's happening on the back end.
Yeah, exactly.
They did sign a backup today as well, so they do have a second goaltender.
He's intriguing, actually. Did you see
backup?
Did you see his stats? He only started 5 games last year, but was 5-0 with the St. Louis Blues, and only had a 1.22 goals against average and a 9.58 save percentage. Small sample size. I'm not calling this guy the next coming of anything, but that's intriguing for a guy you signed that went back and forth between the Blues and the AHL. The Blues were good last year.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, Lindgren is intriguing here to me because of his stats last year. Maybe they can get lightning in a bottle with a guy who's, maybe figured it out a little bit in the NHL.
Well, when we call up all the kids and our first round pick Worcestershire sauce, we're gonna be money. So,
Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah. Malkin went back to Pittsburgh.
I was mad about that one.
40 years.
I wanted
It's
to
a
see
lot of money for a guy who gets hurt all the time, though. So, boy,
Yeah.
they're hanging on. Like, they're kind of pulling what we're pulling. It was just kind of hanging on by a thread. Probably the right thing to do would probably to let him walk, but maybe Crosby got in their ear and was like,
no,
don't
he
let my guy go.
did. No,
Yeah, that's what it is.
reports are saying
that's what happened with Ovechkin and Backstrom.
Yeah.
They're like, we're staying here together.
Yeah.
And
Malkin, and apparently negotiations were bad earlier in the day, and that's when you started to hear the Evgeny
Crosby
Malkin.
got in it?
No, you started to hear Evgeny's going to be a free agent, and then I guess Crosby called both parties and was like,
get this done.
No. You're not going anywhere. Yeah. Get back on the phone,
Yeah.
and then he's back there for 4 years. There is something right about that, though. Like, I wanted the chaos, but I also there's something about players that are there for that long. So
your boy Evander Kane stayed with the Oilers, so he's not coming here.
I'm shocked he got.
You don't
that
have to keep him out of the sports book down there at the Turtle.
Oh, man.
Do that.
I'm shocked he got that term off of what his wife tweeted
He's
out
good.
earlier this
I know.
week.
He's
though.
good. And your boy Kadri is available.
Yes,
but he's
Still.
going to get a massive deal. And off of us spending for a goaltender, which
Right.
was the right thing to do, I think we're out of that business now.
Probably, yes. The biggest name available, though, is going to be Johnny Gaudreau, who's not
Well,
going
we're going to
back
be out of that
Calgary.
business too. He's going to command a big number, and we're not going to get him.
What's funny, though, is the rumor team is the Flyers. The Flyers don't have enough money to sign him on the salary
I saw
cap.
the Flyers, the Islanders,
Yep.
So East Coast, a bunch of East Coast teams.
Probably,
Yep.
most likely for him. And also your boy Burakovsky. He is now going back to Washington State.
Ah.
He's going to the Kraken.
So
on
they
a
are now
5-year
Stanley
deal.
Cup favorites, the Kraken.
Burakovsky wins a cup and leaves. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good for them.
Maybe Oshie will be jealous.
But doubtful on that.
Okay.
She likes it here.
Everyone seems to think Andrei Burakovsky is a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, that they said, it'll take him through his 14th year of life, not of his career.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy. All right. I'll take a break. When we come back, Donovan Mitchell on the block. Kevin Durant, maybe. Kyrie Irving, maybe now. And Adam Silver pissed about trades. We'll talk about that next. Bram Weinstein Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital.